The UK Championships had so many great shots this year, it's been difficult to limit this video to just 20. You won't believe the standard of some of the shots I left out. But what we're interested in is the best shot, and as usual we're going to be finding that by recreating all of them as accurately as possible and then playing them in the fewest possible attempts. And we begin with Judd, who looked solid all the way through this tournament on his way to victory, with his only close match being against John Higgins in the second round. He is 3-all here in the first round against Neil Robertson, but he's already won this frame before playing this exhibition shot down the cushion. You've got to get the angle precisely right here, because if you're just slightly out, you'll obviously miss the shot. And from here, Judd would take the following 2 frames and win the match by 6 frames to 3. I'm struggling to get the correct side spin on the cue ball, because if you play it plain ball, you risk going in off, so it needs a slight tracer right hand side to hopefully cannon the blue, otherwise it's a little bit of a risk on where the cue ball goes. However, I've got the red here, and I've hit the jaw, avoiding the in off, so I'm definitely going to take that. Well, that was a little bit more awkward than I was expecting, but this next one from Mark Allen is just outright difficult. Not only does he pot a red from distance, potting the ball down the cushion, but he also screws the cue ball easily all the way back into bulk, and then goes on to make a 100 break, winning the frame and giving himself a 5-4 lead. He'd take the match by 6 frames to 4, and I'm a little bit worried about this one because I'm not sure I have the cue power to get it right, even if I use every single trick available. And unfortunately I'm right, as getting back about halfway is the best I can possibly do here. Here's another shot, this time from Neil Robertson, that I'm going to find incredibly difficult, because you need a really accurate shot to get the cannon on the black, and even getting it there is a problem, as I'm not sure I have the cue power to screw back that far. Neil was able to make a 107 break off getting this cannon right, and obviously he'd already won the frame, but as we've already seen, it was downhill from here. And for me, with this shot, things also aren't looking great, as I'm only able just to get the cue ball back far enough to hit the red and the black, and I can't seem to quite find the right angle to avoid the red. I keep playing the shot with slightly too much side spin, or manoeuvring the cue ball far too wide against the cushion. This looks a bit closer, but I've hit the red again. I'm going to have to really hit this well, and at the same time keep enough side spin off the cue ball, which you'd think be easy, but not quite. I've got the black there, but I wasn't quite on the red. I'm jumping over the top of the ball. This is all going horribly wrong. I knew this was going to be a difficult shot, and maybe this time I've got it. Nope, landed on top of the red again. This is just so tough to both cue this really well and get the accuracy, as my table is nowhere near as reactive. I've got it now, and that was really, really difficult. How good is this from Robert Milkins now, who looks impossibly snookered, not just behind the pink, but behind the jaws of the pocket as well. But without thinking about it too much, he just gets down and finds the answer around 2 cushions, landing on the red absolutely dead weight. He'd then go on to win this frame and make a 130 break in the next to take a 4 frame to 3 lead. However, Ding would come back and eventually win the match. Genuinely, after seeing him play it first time, I thought this was going to be easier. I think I've got it here, but the spin is just taking on the cloth and it's rolled too much across and I've caught the pink. Hopefully this time will be better, as I've played it a little bit wider and it seems to be coming down and hitting the red. Definitely a harder shot than I thought it was going to be. Wow, did I get a lot of requests for this Jak Lisowski shot, where he can't see the red over the pocket and ends up just playing a red as a plant onto it, mostly to knock the red away, but it actually goes in the centre of the pocket. Jak will then use this to go on and win this frame before taking a 3-frame-to-1 lead against Mark Allen. However, Mark would come back after the mid-session interval and take every subsequent frame and therefore the match. At least with most of these shots, I seem to be striking the first red into the second red fairly full, and if I keep doing that, it's just going to be a case of seeing how long it takes to pot the ball. I don't think I can do much more than just hope it goes in, although every single shot seems to be getting slightly closer, so I seem to be lining it up better. I've got it. I'm not sure the cue ball's going far enough down the table, but that was about as hard as I could hit this one. Michael Holt has finally remembered he's one of the best players in the world and has made it all the way through the qualifiers to the second round, where he's been given the job of taking out World Championship runner-up Jak Jones. Despite finishing 2 straight on this brown, Michael still manages to screw the cue ball back down the table with reverse side, which is going to be an incredibly difficult shot for me to play on my table for a number of reasons, but I'll explain that in a minute. Michael wouldn't actually win this frame despite getting in great position, and would go 2 frames to 0 down here. The reason this is so difficult for me to get right on my table is obviously because the table isn't anywhere near as reactive, and what I'm having to do to make the cue ball screw back just a tiny bit further from this position is causing the spin not to take so much of an effect off the cushion, so I'm not able to get so far to the right down the table with a reverse left-hand side. I'm also struggling to set this up right every single time, so sometimes I put it a little bit too wide, and that's why I keep catching and coming past the yellow. All in all, this is a really difficult shot to get right. I've hit it about as well as I can, I've got inside the blue, and I'm in good position. That, unfortunately, is the best I can do it. Jak Jones has extended his lead in the match to 5 frames to 2 and pots this crucial long red to set up a frame-winning clearance. However, as Jak's a little bit unfortunate not to finish in position, he ends up having to pot a thin green, which he goes in off, handing the frame to Michael. I was struggling to see the correct angle on my first attempt, but I'm slowly getting closer. I've got it, and that's definitely a good shot to play under pressure from Jak there. Michael Holt made it back to 5 frames to 4 when he attempts this long red and manages to screw the cue ball all the way back safe at the same time. It's a great pot, and it allows him to go on and take the frame and then eventually the match, setting up a quarter-final match against the world champion Kyren Wilson. Once again, this is another shot where I'm going to have to give it absolutely everything to get it anywhere near the baulk cushion. I've potted the ball and cued it about as well as I can, and I've nearly got past the baulk line. That's as good as I can do though. Barry Hawkins requires the spider now for this next snooker escape, but despite its difficulties, he still manages to hit it and leave the shot completely safe. He was ground into the dirt by Mark Allen during this match, but despite this, he still ends up winning it at 1 o'clock in the morning by 6 frames to 5. Although I'm hopeful I'm going to be able to find the correct angle fairly quickly here, and I'm not still going to be playing this at 1 in the morning. My first shot had a good hit on the red, unfortunately it knocked it the wrong way. I'm looking to knock the red to the right here. My second attempt is also pretty good and would have been fairly safe, but I'm trying to get it safe in exactly the same way Barry did, and this looks better. Yes, a tiny bit thin, but the same result. In snooker, we have a phrase for this.
You know where you've been.
Selby, as Jak Lisowski turns bright orange and has no idea how to escape from this fiendish snooker. He ends up missing it, but luckily for him, Mark Selby needs 2 snookers, so he'd end up losing this frame and would eventually lose the match by 6 frames to 4 to Jak Lisowski. Even though this is a really tough shot, happily for me it seems to be a bit of a natural angle. I only fractionally overhit my first attempt, so if I can just slightly back the pace off, that'll be absolutely perfect. I've just played that a little bit too thin there, so I need to hit it a bit thicker this time, but I think I've got a bit too much of it. Yeah, I've hit it a bit too thick and a little bit too hard. Hopefully I should be able to make the correction here because I've been fairly close every single time, and this looks absolutely perfect. I'm really happy with that one because it's a tough shot. I'm not even going to try and explain this Judd trump shot, so let's just watch it and see if I have any chance of recreating it afterwards. So, by the look of it, I don't think I've got any chance of fluking the red in the middle pocket or somehow knocking the blue on. So I'm going to try to play the only part of the shot I have any control over, and that's the cannon to the red over the pocket. I've been close on a couple of occasions, but just slightly caught the red too thick to knock it in the pocket. That's a bit better. I'm not in position, but that's about as good as it was ever going to go. This Lei Peifan shot is very similar, but is it going to be any easier to play? Once again, this is a shot that gets a player a good chance in a frame. However, Lee would go on to lose it to Zhang, who would eventually take the match by 6 frames to 3. That was a lot easier, and I even managed to get out for the blue. Kyren Wilson plays a very similar shot in the first round, except this time the red's a lot further from the pocket, so this potentially could be a little bit harder. And it made me wonder, as we've had no real doubles of any significance this week, which of these shots was the hardest? It was easier than I thought, so which of these were the best cannon? Okay, I don't know what this is and whether or not my editing skills are up to it, but I should be in one of 4 squares now and shots should be happening all around me, just for me to say the winning shot is from Judd Trump, obviously. Up next is
China's Snooker Panda.
Okay, why we... Oh, because it rhymes with Ander. Oh yeah, that's probably fine. Either way, he plays a great positional shot off the yellow here, spinning the cue ball round the table for the green. He gets a little bit fortunate with the cannon, but it leaves him a great chance to win the frame at this visit. However, something clearly goes wrong, I've just noticed here, because he actually loses the frame, but wins the match in the next. And this appears to be an awkward one to get the line right and get the cue ball in behind the black. It seems to be incredibly easy to get the cue ball top side of the black, and that looks a lot more like the natural angle, but to get the cannon I'm going to need to go behind the black and get very, very close to it. So not only have I got to pot this yellow, but I've got to get behind the black perfect, and I think that was it. I've just missed a cannon on the green and left myself perfect on it in the middle pocket, so I can't complain. Another great pot, this time from Barry Hawkins in the quarterfinals. This one's really awkward because he's bridging around the reds, but he manages to get it in good position and make a frame-winning break from this position, which is really impressive. He'd then win the next 2 frames to take the match by 6 frames to 2. I'm finding this one a bit awkward because honestly it doesn't look too difficult. I'm not sure if it's the fact that I'm bridging around the balls or I just can't see the correct angle, but for whatever reason I'm struggling to line it up properly. I need to stun the cue ball across the table at the same time as well, and it doesn't seem to have enough angle. I finally got it and it's worked just about. Watching Mark Allen's semi-final performance was interesting. Let's just say it was incredibly steady, but what was weird is he was also pulling out ridiculous long pots like this one. This got him to 4-2 in front, but as we know, he'd eventually lose the match by 6 frames to 5. I thought I'd be here forever with this one because it's a really awkward angle, so the fact that it's gone in straight away is brilliant, although I haven't really hit it hard enough. Jak Lisowski played well in his match against Ali Carter, knocking in long reds like this one off the bolt cushion before going on to make a 63 break and taking the frame, giving himself a 3-1 lead, and he'd eventually win the match by 6 frames to 4. Well, that's another one that's worked straight away, and this time I've got the cue ball in roughly the right place. Yize is 4 frames all against Mark Allen in the second round, and he's knocking in long reds like this. Unfortunately for him, this didn't give him the best of chances, and a miss gave Mark Allen a chance to make a 100 break and take a 5 frame to 4 lead, and Mark will win the match in the next frame. Unlike the last 2 shots, I'm really struggling to find the correct angle here. It's probably a combination of the right-hand side I need to play the shot with, and the fact that I have to screw it back with a lot of power and play it at the right angle, which is a little bit weird. I think I've finally picked up the angle here, and I'm playing it close to right on most occasions. I just can't quite get it to drop yet, so it might be a few more shots before I actually get one of these. I have got it, but I would have expected to get that a lot quicker. Before the next shot, let's just find Amin from Turin, Italy, which is there. Jackson Page is behind in this match, but picks out this great long yellow and makes a clearance to get back to 5 frames to 4 behind against Mark Allen. Unfortunately for Jackson, he'd lose the match in the next frame. This is actually fairly similar to the previous shot, just with a lot less power. Once again, it's just going to be a case of finding the correct angle, and I thought I had it there. 3 would probably have been quite good from this position, so 4's not too bad, although I'd have liked to have got it in 3 at least. And we begin where we started, with a slow red. Down the cushion is an exhibition shot, but this time it's from Dave Gilbert. He rolls this in really nicely and goes on to take the frame and wins an impressive match against Al Gadong by 6 frames to 4. There's obviously not a lot of point explaining this one. I've just got to line it up correctly and try not to put too much side spin on the way to the red. It seems to have worked. It's rolled in a bit, but I think Dave's shot also did the same. A lot of really difficult shots there, but as usual you can vote for your favourite using the link in the description, because in a couple of weeks' time I'm going to take all of those shots and we're going to decide which of them is best when we decide which is the best shot of the entire year. So if you want to see more shots from previous tournaments, then you can have a look at these 2 videos, and remember, don't just watch, play, and make the commitment to becoming a better player by subscribing to the channel and visit the website.